Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar. This is X-Men True Believers, Moira McTaggart, #1. Like, God, these names are terrible. Why don't you just be like True Believers reprint, X-Men number 17, or whatever this is? You know what I'm saying? It's written by Chris Claremont. Let's see what the actual number is. 96. This is like right after the X-Men Giant, right? Like, this is pretty soon, because look at Cyclops, man. He's like all tormented because what's his name died. Ooh, what's his name died? I don't care. But Cyclops is like, ah! It's very classic looking. Who was the artist? Dave Cockrum. Man, this really is like old school X-Men. This is X-Men before I'm really familiar with what's going on, but it's definitely got all the marks of Claremont writing. Like, just look at Cyclops right here, man. He's just like blown this gigantic hole in the world, and he's walking off. It's too bad that he blew this gigantic hole in the world because mere moments later, right after Moira McTaggart, because this is her first appearance, shows up. Big demon dude knocks him through a wall, and a fight ensues. And it's a fun fight for one thing. For one great thing. I'm going to take a picture of this and put it on Instagram. Uh, this is great, though. Wolverine just cutting loose. And I really enjoyed what Wolverine says here. 10 years of psycho training, a hypnotism, a drug therapy, 10 years of praying, and I cut him to pieces without a thought. Nothing changes, Professor. I thought I'd learned to control myself. I guess I was wrong. And you want to know something funny? I'm glad. After all, Wolverine is the best at what he does, and what he does is not very nice. The art's appealing. The color, again, like with most of these True Believer reprints that are from old material, the color just super duper absolutely pops off the page on this glossy as opposed to the original newsprint stuff where these colors would be a lot more muted because the newsprint was kind of gray, it was kind of muddy, it absorbed ink in funny ways. It's gorgeous here. I gotta admit, reading this book, like actually reading it, trying to pay attention to the conversations, to the whatevers were going on here and there and there and there, because there's like a danger room scene where they're training and stuff, and that's where you kind of get this hint of Wolverine being the absolute killer madman. Like, honestly, I could not, I could not really care. Sorry, I had something playing. I had to go mute that. I could not really care. Like, I didn't care at all about like the plot, which is weird because I usually really enjoy Chris Claremont writing, but the plot did nothing for me here. I like the fights, I like the action, I like the way it looked. The characters look right, the action flows well. These crazy panels of just carnage and stuff are all over the place. Well, maybe not carnage, but of action. There's something happening like in every panel. This is an example. It's a fight scene, right? You're like, oh yeah, well, it's a fight scene. Of course, something's happening in every panel. But even here, if we like look at this panel where it's just like talking, look at this. We get this long shot. We move in. We move the camera around. Stuff is happening in every panel. It's like social combat. Look at this guy. He's yelling. He's pointing and yelling. They're having a heated discussion, and it comes through in the art. It absolutely does. Uh, Old school X-Men, man. Old school X-Men. I'm really enjoying these X-Men True Believer reprints. Although the other True Believer reprint, I'm not going to do a review of it, or rather, I should say, I'm going to include my review of it in here. Meh. There. That's my complete review of X-Men True Believers, Karima, Shapander, Omega Sentinel. Just meh. I don't care. All right. This was a lot of fun because of the action. It's very old school. It's very old school. The art's old school. The writing is old school. This is like old school Claremont. That other book I looked at was like new school Claremont. Man, it had some of the. Oh, I hated the art. That was the main reason I didn't like it. The main reason I'm giving it a meh is I did not like the art. There's two different artists in here. You've got like this stuff in the flashback, which does nothing for me. It doesn't look right. It looks cheap. And then there's this stuff, and I think this is Ron Lim art, but it just never quite clicked for me and looked right. Uh, it's not as bad. I was about to say something, but else about the art in here, but it's not as bad as I was reading one of those issues of Authority I got out of the 50 cent bin, And gosh, that had some absolutely, totally abysmal art, and it turned me off so hard. No wonder I didn't like. I don't like the Authority that much. Oh, they're a bunch of jerks. The X-Men can be jerks, but at least you know the X-Men are like trying to do the right thing as opposed to ruling the world. Because if they wanted to rule the world, come on. When Jean is running around as the Phoenix, you can now rule the world. This was a fun little book. It's only $1. You might as well pick it up. Even if you're like, oh, I don't like the way Claremont writes or something, you never know. You might be pleasantly surprised. You never know. Check it out. Check it out. Super colorful at the very least. Bye bye.